Hi, and welcome. This video aims to discuss how to grow garlic. There are many garlic variety choices grouped into two basic categories, hard neck and soft neck. The hard neck types have a stiff central stalk with a single layer of cloves around it, and soft neck types have swirling layers of cloves over and no defined neck and flop over. The soft neck does well in zones 8 and up. The hard neck does better in zones 7 and below. The most common way to propagate garlic is to plant the cloves from an existing bulb. You can get seed cloves from a garden center or nursery, or you could purchase the bulbs from the grocery store. Be sure to select the organic ones because the non-organic ones may have growth inhibitors. The garlic shown here, I planted them in November. They are soft necks. That is the one you would normally find at the grocery store. And they are organic. The best time to plant garlic is from September through November. A rule of thumb is at least 2 weeks before the first frost. Garlic that grows through the winter undergoes a vegetative state and forms bulbs to increase in temperature and lengthening daylight. They can support the rapid leaf growth necessary to develop large bulbs by early spring. And if you plant them by the fall, if you plant in the fall, the harvest usually takes place in the summer from about June to July. Essentially, you could plant the soft necks all year round, but you will need to bring them indoors during the warmer months. The bulbs will not be as developed as those that grow through the winter. And even if you plant them in the spring, you may get some sort of bulbs, but not as developed as if they were planted in the fall. To plant, break the garlic into individual cloves. I keep the papery wrapper intact as I break the garlic heads apart from the bulb. The thin outer layer protects the cloves. It helps to keep infections away. Now, in terms of breaking them, notice what I'm doing. I save the larger ones for planting as they have more stored food to support the young shoots. And the smaller ones, I just set those aside. I use those for cooking. To start, if planting in containers, you'll need a container that's at least 20 inches deep. Ensure that the pots have proper drainage holes. This depth will give the roots enough space to grow comfortably. Garlic likes loose, well-draining, rich and loamy soil with a pH between 6.0 and 7.5. So if it's not at that desired range, then it will be essential to add some lime. So before planting, be sure to add some amendments or use some organic soil. But I had some of these, so I have some azomite. And this is some bone meal. I have a little bit of that left. And so you could just sprinkle a little bit of these. And here I also have some kelp meal. So I will just sprinkle a little of each of those into the grow bags and the containers. and so it's very essential, and that will ensure that we have an adequate amount of nutrients. Plant the cloves root side down, 2 inches deep and 2 to 4 inches apart. Now, if you are planting the elephant garlic variety, then those you plant about 6 inches apart. They need 6 to 8 days of sunlight, so it's important to have them in a location where they can get that required amount of light. In my search, it is my understanding that you could grow garlic indoors also. However, the bulbs will not be as developed. But, the chives are also fantastic. So if you're growing them indoors for that purpose, that's great. But even growing them indoors, one of the things you still have to ensure is that the plants get at least 6 hours of sunlight. You may have to use a grow light in the absence of indirect sunlight. Cover your plants with a generous layer of mulch in the fall right after you plant to help insulate your bulbs. Now that's more crucial in colder climates, zone 7 and below. Additionally, garlic should be mulched to improve soil structure and reduce weeds. Cover your plants with 1 to 2 inches of mulch. The mulch helps to maintain the moisture as it warms up. Keeping the soil cool is an essential factor in developing the bulbs. Use light colored mulch. Well, here in my case, these plants, they do have exposure to direct sunlight, but they are under a shade structure. The plant will start to form bulbs on the ground once the soil begins to warm up in the spring. But if the soil gets too hot, the bulbs can stop growing before their time, resulting in underdeveloped bulbs. Fertilize garlic in the early spring by side dressing with an organic fertilizer such as bone meal or fish meal, kelp, similar to those that I used early on. Just before the bulbs begin to swell in response to the lengthening daylight, usually early May, fertilize lightly one more time. If May and June are dry, irrigate to a depth of about 2 feet every 5 days. As mid-June approaches, you can reduce the frequency of watering. Now this is if the bulbs were planted in the fall. I hope this video was helpful. What are some other acceptable practices that you have observed or used growing garlic? Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe to the Petersville Farm channel. Thank you.